Sam, I'll start with you. Um, Kyrie Irving has proven himself even more than usual to be a little bit of a liability, not only in his time on the court, but also when he's off the court.
Yes, that's a perfect lead-in because I want to say this. I mean, I was looking at this situation, obviously, because we were planning on talking a lot about Kyrie tonight before Harden got traded. And before this Harden and removed from the Harden situation, I want to just say that I understand taking personal time and I understand doing that from Kyrie Irving's perspective, but I don't understand not telling the team. And the only thing he says is, "I don't want to play," and that's just not a good way to put it. And I need a better explanation than that. I respect his passion for issues outside of sports, for everything going on in the world. It's been a crazy year, and there's a lot going on. So I do understand that, and I respect that. But being more transparent with the team, I think, is a necessity at this point. First of all, he needs to say, you know, maybe it's for mental health, maybe it's for family time, maybe it's whatever it may be that's keeping him away from the game of basketball. I think he just needs to be a little more open with that. And that's the first issue I have with him leaving. But I will say this. I think James Harden, the trade for James Harden, I think puts even more pressure for Kyrie Irving to get back on the court right now. He hasn't really played much with KD in the first place. But he really now needs to get back on the court to play with not only KD, but also Harden to try and just get some sort of positive chemistry going here. Learn how to kind of share the ball between three superstars here. I'm not worried about the Nets and their slow start, to be honest, but I will be worried if Kyrie continues to miss games, which it looks like he's going to, because I think the bottom line here and the biggest thing is getting him back on the court as soon as possible so that if he's going to play this year, he needs to be back as soon as possible. That way, him, Harden, and KD can learn how to play together, because I think that's going to be a long, growing process that's not going to happen overnight. And if the Nets want any chance at going to the NBA Finals, they can't figure that out in a month. They need this entire season to figure that out and work together. So that's why I think Kyrie's got to get back in the court. He's not going to listen to me. I don't know what he's doing, so I'm not so sure.
Oh man. I mean, from a basketball perspective, I completely agree with you. If the Brooklyn Nets are going to find success in this year's NBA playoffs, it's going to be because Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant have successfully coordinated a three-headed attack that is strong enough to take down any team in the league. They're going to need to be quite good. And when you, as Dylan was saying earlier, have three players of this caliber, your window is right now. Now it is open. The window is wide open as of the second the tweet came out that the trade was official. You've got to be winning. And I'd say for Brooklyn, you're going to hold Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden to the standards that, again, they deserve to be held to. These guys should be making the NBA Finals. I think it's fair to call it a disappointment if they don't make the Eastern Conference Finals. If they get knocked out before the Eastern Conference Finals, that's a failure of a year. Because you go all in like this, that's a textbook failure. There's no way around that. So you need, if you're Brooklyn, to make it to the ECF, to make it to the finals, to try and win a championship. And if you're going to do that, it's not going to be with your defense. It's not going to be with your wonderful team chemistry with Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. It's going to be because KD, Kyrie, and Harden can play together and can kill opposing defenses night in and night out. And they need it. They need it. No way around it.
That sense of immediacy is very clear, because here's the deal with the Nets. 12 hours ago, they had as much depth as any contending team in the NBA. With the amount of draft picks they had coming up, all of which they gave up today, with guys like Karis LeVert, there was a lot going for them. But with the acquisition of James Harden and everything that it cost them, like we've been saying, there is no contingency plan if something doesn't happen in the next 2 years. Before today, there was a sense of immediacy. There was a sense of we got to win because we got a good team right now. But it also wasn't, there was something to lose, but they wouldn't have lost everything. Now, if they don't win, you lost everything. And it becomes the pressure is on for Kyrie Irving, a guy who is known to be a little flaky. And this is really, he's really flaking like crazy right now, which is very concerning. And, in the past, when he was playing in Cleveland, he had the man himself to help him out. But the Nets really need him on the court as much as possible. And like we talked about earlier, when there's this much personality between just three guys, it becomes a real worry of, can they glue it together? And I don't know if that worry is a sure one.
No, and I think something we were talking about before the show too, that I just want to bring up at least briefly here, is I think this trade for Harden, I think the Nets made this deal a lot having to in mind Kyrie Irving, because we don't know the situation with him. They don't really know the situation with him. Who knows? I mean, Stephen A talked about it today. He might even retire. We don't even know if that's a possibility. We don't know where his mind's at all. So I think the Nets were definitely pushed a little bit from this situation with Kyrie Irving to get Harden. But that being said, I think you're right, Dylan. They still need Kyrie on the court for sure. I mean, the whole point of this trade and why we're talking about it so much is because of the potential that these three guys can have if they're all on the court and they're all playing. And that potential is to win the NBA Finals. And then that potential is within the next couple of years. But that only happens if all three of those guys are on the court at the same time. And that seems like something that is incredibly difficult to get here.
I mean, Sam, you said multiple times, the Nets may not even know where Kyrie is. I think they might, and I think that might be East Orange, New Jersey, which is not Brooklyn. Video came out of Kyrie maskless at a generally maskless event, and 24 maybe hours later, the Brooklyn Nets landed top 5 player on planet Earth. I don't know if these things are connected. I know Brooklyn had been in Houston's inbox DMs for quite a bit, leaving voice messages. Hey guys, hey, we still want James, still interested. By the way, things don't be. They're not looking like they're going so great. Not looking up. We're still interested in James. By the way, let us know. Call us back. Maybe today is just the day that things finally, Harden's press conference accomplished what he wanted it to. I can't think though that these things aren't connected. I have to think that Brooklyn might be looking at the possibility of not having Irving return for quite a bit. And they just went out to get Durant a running mate, hoping to have all three, obviously assuming they'll have all three by playoff time. They don't make this trade if they don't think they're going to have all three by playoff time. They think they're going to have these guys back on the squad at some point soon. But it's not now. And as NBA fans, I don't know what else our job is now, but to wonder when it's going to be. It's quite the superstar-driven league, as we've mentioned. And there's a superstar missing from the league for reasons we weren't sure of and were therefore hesitant to speculate on. And now it just seems like we have these two guys in the NBA that are both putting people at risk with their actions from a public safety standpoint, that are both kind of selling their teammates short in terms of the commitment they made to them as teammates themselves. And a third similarity is that they're now both Brooklyn Nets. So it'll be incredibly interesting to see how this unfolds. You can't help but just have a load of questions for Sean Marks, for it's what a day in the National Basketball Association overall, man.
A great way to put it, Chris. And before you spoke, I was just about to say it is worth us saying, there has been speculation that Kyrie may not be back at any point this year. We don't really know where on this flat, apparently, Earth he is. Maybe go looking at dinosaur fossils to see if they're real. But enough of that. Of course, there has been speculation that if he were not to play the rest of the season, it might be for COVID reasons, for safety reasons. But after the photo evidence we saw this weekend, the proof is in the pudding. That is probably not the case.